Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to get your information. What was your name? I'm writing it down.
Jay Arnold.
Okay, and Crime Victims Compensation.
Yes,
And it went to 1513 East Presidio.
yes, ma'am.
I've had a lot of things. I haven't received anything from the Social Security Administration. I did my tax return, and I didn't get anything from the IRS. And it's saying online that something happened and I can't get through. This is just strange. So they sent the mail back.
Yes, ma'am. We
This
gotta
has happened
return
at
it.
multiple different shelters that I've heard. They
I
shelters that I stayed at return mail.
I don't know what to say, ma'am.
Well, you
You're
have the
just calling
information.
to.
Yeah, you have the information on my situation, and that just escalates it if the shelter's conspiring with abuse and returning mail.
That's something you could talk to the shelter about.
Well, this is crime victims compensation.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, how do you help?
We can only help if we have an accurate mailing address on file.
That's accurate. I'm going to ask him why they return the mail like other shelters, because playing games with mail is a
Yes,
felony.
yes, ma'am. And that's something you could talk to them about. I'm just calling to get a valid mailing address for you.
That's it. I've received letters, a couple letters from Health and Human Services with games, but and then they told me at first that they didn't have that, and then when I started to record it, then they gave me my mail.
Okay, well, since I have you on the phone now, can you confirm the date of crime and the law enforcement agency you made the report to?
I made like 100 and something reports, and the police department refuses investigation. I just had a false arrest at New Beginning, not New Beginnings. I had an arrest there too in Garland, Texas, in 2018, and was that 2018? I'm sorry, I'm on the spot now and I can't remember, but it was either 2018 or 2019. And then I just had an arrest for trying to get help at One Safe Place. That was our second time taking my freedom and corruption, the police department.
Yes, ma'am. So I see here you filed for a crime of stalking. Do you recall what date of crime that
It
was?
still currently happens. I get gang stalked every day.
Do you recall the last time you filed a police report?
Um, the police won't
Or
investigate.
a police report where they actually documented it?
I've done multiple. I guess that was in April 11th when I reported that a car sped up like it was going to hit my friend, and then she started behaving oddly. And it's happened to me multiple
Okay.
times, and the police won't investigate
Was
that
that
either.
of this?
I'm sorry.
Was that of this year?
Yes, it was April 10th, 2024. So the car sped up deliberately like it was going to hit her and ran a light. And she started really behaving strangely at that point.
Well, yes, ma'am. I'm just trying to get the police report information. That's the only way we're going to be able to move forward with your claim. And
Yeah.
as of right now, Fort Worth has gotten back to us on May 14th and said they do not have any records for your claim. And without
Oh,
that
okay.
police
Because I
report,
get
we
these
will not
calls,
close out
ma'am.
your
I get
claim.
these calls when my abuser's mad and he can't lash out. You have people call me and dangle help and then deny it and schemes. So I get them. I've been getting calls for years with people playing games, and then I think that I'm actually going to get help. And for all these years, it's actually been controlled, and that never help was never coming because my calls are being controlled and spoofed and corruption. But I don't know. I just told you I had a false arrest, and you don't care about it. What was your name again?
Hey, Arnold, and it's not that I don't care about it, it's that we don't handle that.
I'm not being heard. I don't know why it would make any why the Fort Worth police would need to confirm or approve me getting help that they're for abuse that they're involved in. Why would you need the Fort Worth police to approve me getting help to flee abuse they're enlisted in?
That's not the claim that you filed with us. The
I
claim that you
did, I
filed with us
did,
was
I
stalking.
did put that my stalker controls the police department and gang stalks me every day with multiple different people enlisted in stalking and abuse.
Yes, ma'am. Well, unfortunately, like I mentioned before, without those police reports, we are unable to
I
move
gave
forward
the
with your
put. You
claim.
need me to give you the more police report numbers? I have some. You pull the police reports I reported when you did. I
You're unable to pull the police reports because the law enforcement agency, as expressed, stated that they do not have records for your account.
Oh, okay.
No
Well, let me
records.
give you police reports that I have with my phone. Hold on. 1 minute. Better yet, let me give you my YouTube channel, and you can just go there and see the other.
Can we please have a valid mailing address for you? That
That is
way we can send the
that
correspondence
is.
to
I'll
your
talk
account.
to them. I'll go over there and ask them why they're committing crimes like all other locations that I'm supposed to be getting mail because that's a felony charge. I'll go ask them why they are playing games with mail, why I haven't got anything from the IRS and multiple different other locations, why I've been applying for housing years and not got one letter from Denton, Garland, and multiple different locations. I do the application. I just did one for Fort Worth, but I've done them years and have not received any mail. And each time I call asking where I'm at with the housing, they can't. They say that I'm not qualified for. They don't have records that I applied. But I applied for Denton, Arlington, Fort Worth, Garland, Dallas, and not one piece of mail I've ever received. And this is not the first location that has returned mail in corruption, which is a felony. So
Okay,
this,
well,
I will go over.
with
You're not.
the
I mean, you're not startled by this report. You don't seem to be bothered or startled. It's like it's no big thing to you that people are racking up felonies with no consequences.
and ma'am, that's not what our company handles.
Company
But
Crime
as
Victims
expressed,
Compensation. You said
as
that I'm trying to
expressed,
give you my YouTube channel, ma'am. That all the reports are on there.
ma'am, we cannot accept a YouTube channel.
Crime Victims
Um,
Compensation don't want evidence of someone getting
you
violated.
can upload it on the portal, but we do not accept YouTube channels as
Oh, so you want me to
authorized.
give you the individual reports that the police were covering for?
Yes, ma'am. And if
Okay,
you
hold on.
don't
Let me
know
get them
that
for you. Hold
YouTube
on. Let me get them for you because
activity,
all the people that call me, spoofing calls is criminal. And I don't know how all these people call me and are conspiring with abuse and cover up for all these years. You got to prove that someone's spoofing calls, and when they're upset, they play games like this and have people dangle services that I was never going to get because it's controlled. So hold on 1 minute. Let me pull it up.
well, ma'am, since you have multiple police reports, it'd probably be better if you mail those in to us
Okay, well, ma'am, my YouTube
or
channel
fax
is
them
Kiana
over.
Keyyana
And ma'am,
Clark. See,
as
I'm
I
just if
expressed,
you're just you help.
I cannot
Clark
accept, I
Clark
cannot accept
Peace PEACE. Are these calls recorded?
no, ma'am.
Kiana Clark Peace on YouTube. So since you don't want to look at the YouTube site, let me go ahead and give you some of the report numbers. One moment.
Ma'am, can you please have it mailed over to us or faxed over to us?
Hold on, let me give you a report. You said if it's more than one, I'll give you one report. Hold on. So, for years, 7 years, around 7 years, I was heartbroken because everyone that called me and I called was covering for crimes. And then I realized it was controlled. That's why I wasn't getting help. And that's why the police department is at all these providers interrupting me reporting the crimes, giving me criminal trespasses at my providers because they're committing crimes with my phone, knowing no one would ever believe my story. One moment. I'm getting the case numbers. So it didn't record it, but I told the representative that my son was hit with a car. Someone hit him with a car deliberately, and then the police department covered for it. And then she put me on hold while I was talking. And I said, victims compensation. That's not normal for victims compensation to cover for a hit and run like the police department did. And she put me on hold while I was talking. It's 3:32. I'm still on hold. Here's the time now. I don't know if you can see it. 3:35. So what has happened for years? He lashes out and has these people call me, and they will start arguments and be emotionally or psychologically abusive. And then I realized that it was deliberate.
Alright, so then what
I am. That was kind of rude for you to put me on hold when I was telling you my son was hit with a car. Like the church member at Aberlon, Sherry, laughed when I told her my son was hit with a car.
I'm sorry, but I have located a number for you to call and
Oh,
speak
I
with
have the
about the
number that you said
trigger.
you needed. I have the number you said you needed. Are you sure this is crime victims compensation? Because you're not behaving like crime victims compensation would behave. Like a CPS caseworker that, ma'am, I'm telling you about my experience with crime victims compensation. Like the caseworker, CPS caseworker used to call me 2 or 3 times a day, yell at me, telling me I was going to lose my daughter and I'd never see her again, yelling at the top of her lungs. And she had a mobile. See, she was a mobile CPS worker, so she didn't have a place I can call her at, and I had to call her on her cell phone, government issue cell phone. So I went to Tyler Police and said I don't think these calls are authentic, and they both got caught in lies, and they gave me a criminal trespass in Tyler for reporting that I had called abusive people claiming to be CPS and multiple other people, but they were psychologically abusive. But ma'am, you said you needed a case number to be able to pursue any kind of action, and I have the case number. And now you want to give me another referral to call somewhere else? Are you trying to cover for it? Or are you actually trying to help?
I'm
Because
trying
everyone
to
that has called me on my phone for 6 years and that I called has covered for crimes. And like I said, the police department shows up and my provider reporting these weird calls. Maybe how would you have, all these scam calls? Maybe identity thieves, probably. Maybe that's why I've been defrauded out of funds so many times and it's been ignored. But identity thieves don't need to be controlling churches, organizations, and committing crimes with mail. I've said that years, but have repeatedly been ignored. So, do you want the case number, ma'am? Because it doesn't sound like it sounds like you can't call to play games and actually cover for crimes instead of doing anything about criminal activity and abuse. I have the case number, the report number, ma'am. Ma'am,
yes, ma'am.
I have the report number, ma'am.
Okay. Do you also have the date of crime and the law enforcement agency it was?
It's Fort Worth. This crime's in Garland. I was arrested in Garland. They detained me in Grand Prairie in corruption. They detained me in Dangerfield, Texas. They arrested me in Hillsboro, Itasca, all over. They arrested me in Fort Worth in corruption. Came to 2 different domestic violence organizations to take my freedom. Well, they came 2 different times to one safe place to take my freedom, and arrested me and assaulted me at New Beginnings in Garland, and then drugged me out of churches and slammed me on concrete for begging for help for the church when I was terrified for my life, and no one would help me on the planet, including my own family. So I have the one for Fort Worth, ma'am. But each time I talk to someone on my phone or calling, or actually in all my environments, they cover for crimes. Do you know why that is, ma'am?
I have no idea as to
Oh,
why they're doing that.
oh, do you know why you put me on hold when I told you and talked over me when I told you my son was hit with a car? Do you know why you did that?
Because I had to seek other advice for what you were
I was
reporting.
reporting that my son was hit with a car. That's rude. Like the lady at the church laughed. I don't think it's funny. But I do have the report number that you said you needed. And are you going to be able to get down to the bottom in my abuse while they deprive me of mail and keep getting away with it? The mail was returned at Austin Street. They claimed it was from the court. They also mail was returned from mail from 255th District Court was returned, and on a case at not Frank Crowley, but the Northern District Court. They can't claim that mail was being returned, and that was my mailing address. And in addition to that, they wouldn't give me my mail at Austin Street. They were so crooked. I called the police on them, ma'am, and the police department covered for it. They took clothes and all kind of other things, covered for assaults and abuse at the shelter, just like at this one. I have the report number, ma'am. I've been telling you that.
Yes, ma'am, and I'm waiting on that report number.
Okay, it's 2400810000. So each time for years, ma'am, people keep referring me to other locations to get services for years that I never see. It's like a game.
Yes, ma'am, and is
Yes, I was reporting to the Fort Worth Police Department that I have a stalker that is railroading me and controlling my environments and blacklisting me from help all over the place. And then isolate me to live in certain controlled environments of abuse and harassment and other crimes, like the mail that we just discussed. They were trying to keep my mail, and then when I recorded it, they found the mail. That's a felony charge in multiple different locations. Shelters have conspired with those places, like once again, Austin Street Shelter, Salvation Army, and there was another one. I can't think of it right now.
Do you have a date of crime?
It happens every day. I told you I get gang stopped, and I just was arrested for trying to get help at one safe place. That was a second time taking my freedom, trying to get help. And
Yes, ma'am.
they come to all domestic violence organizations or work behind the scenes, use intimidation and bullying. I tried to get in witness protection at the Northern District Court in Dallas, and they bullied and mistreated me and forced me to leave to keep me from witness protection. I don't get my calls, ma'am. That's another crime that I've had to endure. 95% of my calls I never get. My phone does not ring. That is not how my life has been. I meet people and then they don't respond. I don't get their calls. But nothing's been done. I've been forced to endure this and forced to take this massive amount of abuse with my phone being controlled and not getting my calls. And when I get calls, it's scammers for
Yes,
games.
ma'am.
So you haven't given me any direction. What is your position with Crime Victims Compensation?
I am a document reviewer.
Document reviewer. So you call people crime victims and you don't give them any legal knowledge, any direction. You just take the report number and that's it.
Yes, ma'am. My job is to make sure that your application is complete so I can push it over to the next department.
Okay, and what's the next department?
That would be eligibility.
Okay. Do you think that I'll get anything accomplished with you? Because you're condoning all the insanity I told you about. And in fact, put me on hold when I told you my son was hit with a car and talked over me.
Yes, ma'am. Your situation with your son is not the claim that I'm addressing at this moment right
I'm
now. We're
just letting you
addressing
know
the
the whole
small
overall
incident.
picture so you can get an understanding of what I'm going through. I don't think
Yes,
that I
ma'am.
think someone put the church member up to behaving sadistic like that, like an army full of others.
Yes, ma'am. And as
And
the
then you said
attorney,
the other
I was
day,
calling to receive a mailing address for you, but you explained that you do not have a current mailing address.
I didn't explain that to me, you ma'am. I told you I did, and felonies were racked up, ma'am. I don't know why I keep getting these calls with people covering for crimes and psychologically abusive. It remains unaddressed. I did
Okay.
not tell you that. That's
Any
a blatant
case
lie, ma'am.
reference?
I told you that felonies have been racked up and crimes have been committed years to keep me from my mail that remain unaddressed. I told you I didn't get mail from the IRS. I didn't get mail from Social Security Administration and an army full of other locations. I told you that I've applied because all locations I'm at deny me assistance. So I applied for housing on my own and not have not received mail from any of those. I've applied for Arlington. I told you that. Garland and Denton and Dallas, and not have I haven't received one stitch of mail. That's a felony. That's what I told you.
Yes,
And I
ma'am.
told you that locations that I'm at rack up felonies and deprive me of mail.
Yes, ma'am. So in regards to your mail situation, I would suggest giving your local DA office a call.
Okay, well I'll go to them and see why they returned mail and why they lied about the mail until I recorded and then gave me my mail. Because this has been happening years and I keep repeatedly being ignored. When a post office denies 4 holes and you have to call the police on a post office and nothing's still done. I never did get any of the mail. I did a campaign, ma'am. I bought a lot of stamps and a lot of envelopes, and I wrote letters all over the United States. It was vital mail. I asked for attorneys that weren't corrupt or compromised, and not didn't receive one stitch of mail from all that hard work I did. I bought a copier and a fax, and one.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I could provide you with the local
Well, I just get these calls, ma'am, and nothing's really resolved. It's like a game. If my abuser can't lash out with gang stalkers in the environment or have police bully me or have someone burn up food, he'll just have someone call me and be psychologically abusive and play games, taunt services that they know I'm never going to see because I haven't seen them in 7 years. This is a pattern, ma'am. I'm trying to expose what I've been through.
Yes, ma'am, and that's something that you would have to talk to your DA's office about. We do not handle that issue here.
I'm just expressing I have not been able to, um, really get authentic help or assistance for my situation. So I'm just trying to let you know what I've had to endure so you can have an idea of my experience. But each time I'm trying to tell people like you did, you put me on hold while I was talking.
Yes, ma'am, and unfortunately, I have other claims that I have to handle, and I've been on the call for 30 minutes now.
Yeah,
I
that's a pattern with my calls, ma'am. People have other things they have to do, and then are talking while I'm talking and being rude and sadistic. In my environments, I'm trying to get down to the bottom of why I repeatedly keep experiencing this, and I keep trying to get to the bottom of why crimes are ignored with mail. That's a felony. What would entice Trueworth, Salvation Army, and Austin Street to commit that felony? And at when I was forced into the sober living environment with no drug addiction, a felony there with mail. That mail cost a lot of not giving me my mail cost a lot of damage in my life. I was having issues, and they had finally gave me food stamps because they were playing games to keep me from them. In that environment, everyone else had food stamps but me. And then when I finally got them, they wouldn't give me my mail, and then they ended. And then I on the toll, they wouldn't give me my mail, and I had issues with having to pay late charges because they wouldn't give me my mail. That's a lot of different locations that won't give mail. So I don't know. I'll talk to True Worth and see why they're racking up felonies for themselves and why they let people in this community violate me and do nothing about it on camera footage. Stalk, hunt me down like an animal, and nothing's repetitively done. So I asked them why the shelter today. I told them about harassment, and then she said I was. It was in my mind. If I, why every time I talk about harassment, it has to be in my mind when they have camera footage. I don't know her to be knowing my life to tell me it was in my mind harassment that's on camera footage. But in all these environments, they want to claim that it's in my mind so they don't get charges for their crimes. You asked me how when was the last time? It happens every day. And what was the location? The bridge put me out for reporting harassment. You there, man? Why would a shelter put someone out for trying to be safe? Austin Street put me out for getting shoved. And Fort Worth police put me off a train for getting threatened. Ma'am, you don't want to talk? Are you sure you're victim's compensation? These calls are really mysterious, ma'am.
Hi, Ms. Clark. My name is Emily. I'll be taking over this call at this point.
Yeah, ma'am, this is okay. Let me explain something. For 6, 7 years, I tell people my experience. Then they put someone else on the phone in torment to have me repeat the living hell that I've been through. That doesn't make sense for her to put another person on the call when I had already told her about the living hell I have to endure. But for 7 years, they keep on putting other people on the call. I think they're doing it so they can pretend like they don't have all the evidence that I communicated to the first party. So then they put a second party on and they're con. So now they don't have all the evidence that I had just went over. But a red flag is when she put me on hold and talked over me when I said that there was a hit and run for my child that the police covered for.
Yeah, so unfortunately, we're only able to process one application per crime per victim. So specifically for this application we received was for stalking and harassment. We do have
For
the police
what?
report number
For what?
for the stalking and harassment,
Okay.
and she did note the police report number as well as the law enforcement agency. We'll go ahead and send another request out at this point in time to see what the response
Can you
is.
call me when you send mail? Because the police department won't investigate the felonies being committed with the mail. They keep letting people do it, even though it's a felony.
So the request that we're sending out is directly to Fort Worth PD, so you won't receive that request. It goes directly
Well,
to
can
them.
you remail the letter and I'll ask True Worth to not commit crimes and give me my mail? and stop playing games because it's a felony? Can you remail me the letter that you sent out?
So what's your current mailing address?
It's 1513 East Presidio. I should be in witness protection, but I can't get in it. I can't get into the domestic violence organization because the police department keeps interrupting it, sometimes with assaults
Okay.
and arrests.
Is there an apartment number, a phone
No,
number?
it's a homeless shelter that I'm forced to live in.
Okay.
Like I said, crime victims compensation. I think that, I would think that the first priority was to get that person safe. But in 7 years, it hasn't happened. I'm at homeless shelters filled with abuse on camera footage.
Okay. So at this point, we'll go ahead and try and send that correspondence as well.
Okay, what's your name?
Regarding that,
What's your name? You don't know? You got to get, okay, I'll wait. This happens quite often. When you find out your name, let me know. How long is it going to take you to find out your name, ma'am?
hello,
Yeah. Your name?
my name's Emily.
Yeah, okay. Emily, it always takes people a long time to find out what their name is. You don't want to give me your
I
last name,
wasn't
Emily?
sure if you were speaking with me or
You
not.
sure you were sure I was speaking with you? You just didn't know your name, like the rest of the accomplices to these crimes. Okay, so what's your last name, Emily?
Lou, LU,
Okay, and your position.
documentation reviewer.
Okay, why did she put another party on the phone while I was talking?
Because she needed a little bit of assistance on the phone call.
She needed a what?
She needed assistance on the phone call.
Why did she need assistance, ma'am? Did she was being rude and put me on hold and talked over me when I told her my son was hit with a car? Like you're doing, ma'am? She was being rude and talked over me when I told her my son was hit with a car and put me on hold while I was telling her that and talking. I kept repeating it because she was talking over me. I'm sorry, ma'am?
I apologize, but again, we're speaking regarding the sexual harassment claim.
Oh, so you don't want to know about a hit and run of a child that's not important to you, like it wasn't for the church worker. Well, the church lady from the church.
I'm not saying it wasn't important, but
Well,
I
don't you think
we
she
do
could have
want to
handled it a
try
little
your
bit
stay on the
differently
line.
than to put me on hold while I was telling her my son was hit with a car?
Yeah, I do apologize. I'm not sure what happened there.
You record your calls?
I believe so.
Okay, well maybe you need to check into that and see why she did it. Okay, so are you going to resend the letter?
Yes, we'll
What
resend
do
the
I
letter.
do about all these people racking up felonies for years and haven't had no consequences, man? How long do I have to be at homeless shelters when I need to be in witness protection, homeless shelters of abuse and corruption?
So the police department isn't investigating. The next step would be to reach out to your local
I
crime
don't
victims
understand how crime
counselor.
victims compensation or any location I'm at can help if they keep referring me to other people that are crooked.
So we here at Crime Victims Compensation, we don't investigate. We are solely here to provide financial assistance for victims of
You
violent
don't give
crime.
them
So
direction, safety, none of that for crime victims compensation.
that is what the district attorney's office will do for you.
The
I do
police
have a
came and
victim
interrupted me as
advocate.
a district attorney's, ma'am, as well as every environment I'm at, trying to get help at church too. I don't have the right to go to the district attorney. They came with criminal activity to interrupt me and intimidate me and bully me and gave me a criminal trespass and malice for trying to get help, like they did twice at one safe place in Fort Worth. Ma'am, I think someone needs to investigate these calls because if they don't care about me, perhaps they're conspiring with identity thieves, ma'am. I don't understand how they can manipulate websites, commit crimes with mail, and all the damage that they've done
Unfortunately, not
repeatedly over and
necessarily.
over, and list alter court documents, and list CPS and criminal activity unaddressed year after year, ma'am. I think 7 years of living hell, something needs to be done. I can't go walk down this street in this community, police patrol communities, and enforce crimes that I live in, harassment schemes, and nothing's been done.
Have you spoken with an advocate at all?
No, each time the police is interrupting it. All this stuff on camera footage they ignore. I was at church the other day. A stranger tried to trip me, and strange things happen like that all the time. Crimes with food. I mean, that's petty.
Um, yeah, so at this point in time, let me provide you that phone number for the victim assistance unit. I highly, highly recommend working with an advocate there when
Okay, where's the
necessary.
victim assistance unit located?
Um, so it's with the district attorney. I have a phone number. I don't have a physical address.
See, the problem, ma'am, is that the district attorneys The problem of it is there's crimes happening at the district attorney. The police came to interrupt. No one has been able to put the police under control or the government, and that's anarchy. If you can't control crooked government officials, if no one can get the police department and government officials under control, that's anarchy. Something needs to be done to control these corrupt people buying off communities and enforcing crimes year after year. Ma'am, are you sure you're not covering for crimes, ma'am? Are you sure that someone didn't enlist you to call like they've been doing 7 years and play mind games? Because this doesn't sound like an authentic call with concerned people that have a genuine interest in helping me, as it has it for 7 years.
No, as I said, we're trying to process your application with as much information as possible.
I'm giving you all the information, and I was put on hold, given saying a child's life was endangered, and put on hold and mistreated for reporting it, and put on hold while I was talking. She couldn't gather information, put me on hold while I was telling her my son had a hit and run that the police department covered for, and can't find the report. I didn't even know all this nightmare was going on then, but my life was pretty strange.
Yeah. At this point in time, I'm very sorry that happened. I do highly recommend working with an advocate from this point forward.
Okay, so I've communicated with you that the police department came and interrupted me at the Fort Worth district attorney, and they have interrupted me at. I've been forced to leave Frank Crowley in Dallas multiple times in corruption. So you are still referring me to crooked people. They gave me a criminal trespass to keep me from getting help.
That's what we've been told, is that there's an issue with the local police department, with the local law enforcement, to refer victims to reach out to their district attorney.
Okay, so if I'm having so you want me to, if there's an issue with corruption with the police department, you refer people to the district attorney?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so you don't have an advocate to help, get obtain evidence and support and direction. Period. Nowhere on the planet, as it hasn't been for 7 years. Period.
The victim assistance unit would have that advocate for you to work with.
Where's the victim assistance unit, ma'am?
I don't have a physical address for you.
Okay, your crime victims compensation. There's a victim assistance unit, and you can't give me the information for it.
It's local to your area, so unfortunately, I'm not familiar with the Fort Worth area. I can give you a phone number at this point in time.
Okay, these calls, there's just not very little resolve. It's more like they're trying to keep me from information. Okay, what's the number you have, ma'am?
That's 817-884-2740.
Okay, and this is what again?
The victim assistance unit.
Victim assistance unit. Okay. The reason why I'm recording the ambulance is because he does this, just abuses an obscene amount of tax dollars for petty insanity. Okay, now he knows I'm outside the police department's patrolling, and the ambulance. Well, that's when he feels like he's losing control. He does petty things like that and have people call me for madness. That's really covering for crimes. Okay, ma'am. Ma'am? Okay, ma'am. Are you a scammer? Because it took you a while to find out your name, like an army full of others that have called me.
Again, I didn't realize.
Do you have an extension? Yeah, you sure you don't? Do you have an extension, ma'am?
Do I have an extension?
Yes.
Yes, 1204.
Okay, 1204. I can call you if I need to speak with you directly. Okay, and what's the number to reach you at 1204?
512.
Okay.
936.
Okay.
1204.
1204. Okay. And I don't know what to do, ma'am, because people reckon up felonies with male harassment, and then when I try to report it, I get bullied. I don't know what to do. When I go walk down the street, I'm going to experience madness that repeatedly is unaddressed.
I recommend contacting as you're off the phone, I recommend that be the next number that you call.
Okay, and that's for the victim's compensation. Now, how are the funds derived, and what is that process?
So right now, we're trying to obtain the police report records for your application. Once we receive that, your application will move forward towards eligibility determination, and then we go from there.
Okay, I'm not understanding how. Okay, I just trying to get clarity. So you go through. I gave you the police report number. So what are you looking for with the police reports?
So that's we're just trying to get the police report. Eligibility is the one that will do a deep dive into that report.
Okay, because I don't know what to do. I've lost two cars, perhaps three, because something mysteriously happened to another car that the police went to investigate. Where windows were busted out and they covered for it, and something mysterious broke down. It mysteriously broke down. In addition to that, someone distracted me, ma'am. Um, okay, so I lost two cars in corruption, and then the one mysteriously broke down. That the windows were busted out and the police department covered for it. I've lost two furnished places, kids, and corruption. So that's a pretty substantial amount of money. What would you think about that experience? Is it compensation for that and pain and suffering and trauma?
It could be, but I wasn't trained in that, and it is with a different section that determines that information. So right now, we're trying to obtain the police report records. As soon as we have that, we can move forward with your application.
So you're not sure if I've had things stolen from me in corruption and out of this abuse that I can be compensated for it, and
It could
medical
be eligible. Again, I can't say for certain
and
until
medical damages from the experience.
medical medical reimbursement is an eligible benefit. Again, I can't say for certain until we've obtained that police report record.
Okay. Well, ma'am, for my what my experience is everyone that has called me has always denied me assistance. If I'm getting the call, they're not going to help. I'm just trying to obtain a track record of this, ma'am. Okay. Is there anything else, ma'am?
No, at this point, again, I highly recommend contacting victim assistance next.
Yes, I think is that with are you saying with the district attorney? Yes, that I've already been there, ma'am. I told you that, and the police came to interrupt and has had no accountability, and gave me a criminal trespass for trying to flee abuse they're enlisted in. And each time I try to get out of their corrupt environments with bullies and abusers, they come interrupt me getting help. Um, Union Gospel Mission said that they had a place for me, and then ignored me and wouldn't respond. I was trying to change it to get in a more positive living environment, but they work behind the scenes to keep me in chaos. And they also put me out here, ma'am, in corruption. I paid $125 rent on the, I think like 6th or 7th, and they put me out on the 11th and won't reimburse me. And they put the policy is missing 3 appointments, and they put me out for missing one. But Austin Street put me out for looking both ways to see if traffic was coming in the hall, for asking for a cookie in the food line, and for getting assaulted. Well, bait shoved, and she almost made me fall trying to get to my bed. The same lady that told DART staff to not give me route information, and she didn't. So that proves gang stalking. Why would the same lady that shoved me be at Dallas at DART telling her not to give me route information, and then the lady listened and didn't? Ma'am, these calls, people don't really care about my experiences. I guess I'm done. They just call and taunt and play games. I'm just trying to prove that.
Yes, again, I'm sorry that you're going through that.
Sure. No, DA is the only one that can combat corrupt police.
That's literally refer victims who have issues with the local police department, yes. That's what we've
Oh,
been
not
told.
the FBI, ma'am, huh? FBI can't help. Department of Justice can't
More
help.
than That's just what we've been told. You're more than
Who?
welcome to
Okay,
try,
hold on. Who told you
but again,
this?
that's just
Who
what
told you, ma'am?
my management.
Okay, when did they tell you this?
When I asked them if there was an issue. So
I'm sorry. When did they tell you this?
quite recently, I don't have an exact date for you.
Oh, okay, recently. Okay, ma'am. I just want to wish. I think that if you have scammers and you can manipulate pages and play games, crimes with mail, that probably we're dealing with identity thieves, spoofing ingoing and outgoing calls, repeatedly unaddressed. So crooked, you come to the person at their provider trying to report the crimes to their provider and give them a criminal trespass and intimidate them and force them to leave. Like I want to say this again: if you do not care about my life and my family's, the identity theft is on the rise, and do we need government officials enforcing crimes? Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Of course. Have a good day.
You too.